Hello, my friends. It is noon. It is the first Monday of the month, which means it is Micro-credential Monday. And we have a very exciting presentation for you guys today. So today I'm going to be joined by some special guests from Argentina. And we're going to talk a little bit about giving you a global perspective on the state of micro-credentials. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it and get through some of our logistical things. So I'm going to be joined by the co-founder and CEO of Proof of Knowledge today, our special guest, Tomás, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about POK, who has been a sponsor of Micro-credential Mondays for the past few months. And I'm really glad that I'm able to introduce you to him. If you're at the Badge Summit, me too. Same thing for Tomás. So currently we're streaming live from the 2024 Badge Summit. So if you happen to head over to the ballroom or you're in the hallways, feel free to say hi to myself or Tomás. And today we're going to really hit on 5 things here. So number 1 is, what is Micro-credential Mondays? 2 is why skills-based ecosystems are a solution to some of the most pressing workforce and labor market challenges here in 2024 and beyond. I'm going to introduce Tomás. He's going to talk a little bit about POK, aka Proof of Knowledge. And then maybe we'll get into some success stories in Q&A, but we're going to be moving at the speed of light here for this particular Micro-credential Monday. So for those of you who haven't joined us before, we stream live on the first Monday of every single month. It's Micro-credential Monday, and we do so from LinkedIn and YouTube. So if you want more information, you can visit microcredential.info, or you can follow our company website on LinkedIn. We post there, and we also have a YouTube page where you can see the stream live. We're live right now. I bet you're wondering, why not a webinar? Well, because frankly, I don't look forward to webinars, but live streams seem a lot very fun. So here in 2024, we've been streaming on the first Monday of every single month, except for July. We skipped for some R&R. So the next one's coming up September 2nd, and then after that is October 7th, and then we're going to close on the 2nd of December at the end of this year. So feel free to head over to the website and get more information about future editions of Micro-credential Mondays. And we always publish the recordings to YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you missed a previous recording, you can always head there. A little bit about Micro-credential Multiverse. So we do 4 things here in the skills-based sort of micro-credentialing space. We do strategy, execution, support, and storytelling. These are the 4 big barriers to getting an idea into the market and at scale. So we simplify that shift to skills-based learning and recognition, and we're delighted to do so for lots of great organizations, including POK there at the bottom left. So we've worked with hundreds of organizations to develop thousands of micro-credentials earned by millions of learners to unlock career opportunities across the country and abroad. So let's get quickly into it before I introduce Tomás. So first, let's talk a little bit about the why. So the current state of the workforce is such that more than half of individuals in the labor market today are going to change their jobs between 5 and 7 times throughout their entire career. So I actually fall into that category. I've switched careers a few times at this point in my life, and I'll probably do a few switches before I retire, hopefully. But what's even more shocking is about 1 in 3, 30% or so of folks are switching jobs every single year. So when we're talking about some of the disruptions, they're not just societal, cultural, technical, or political. It's really just the reality of the current state of the labor market, is that folks are switching jobs more often than ever. And therefore, it's never been more important to get that kind of reciprocity and transparency between what skills and competencies are learned and which skills and competencies are in demand. So this actually comes to fruition through some statistics here from the Boston Consulting Group. 72% of executives say that talent gaps and shortages represent the top business challenge that their companies are facing this year. And this has actually been the case for a few years prior. And why? It's really because 52% or so of CEOs surveyed responded that a lack of skills in the company's workforce was one of the factors inhibiting the company from changing the way it creates, delivers, and captures value. And this is exactly why skills-based ecosystems have been the term du jour for the past, let's say, 2-3 years. But really, this work has been going on for over a decade. Now, if we look at the average job in the labor market, it actually has 10 skills, coincidentally. So we did a survey of millions of jobs, and it turns out that most job applications require 10 or so skills. And what's interesting about those skills is that 3 in 4 of those skills, or around 76%, have changed since 2016. So every 3 or 4 years, 75% of the jobs on the job application are changing. 1 in 4 of those skills requested for the average US job are entirely new. So think AI coming really into bear this past January, really, is when most folks heard about it. And now you'll find sort of those AI-based skills on a lot of resumes. 3 in 4 of those jobs changed more from 2019 through 2021 than the previous period. I like to point this number out because the change in the job market isn't just a velocity, it's an acceleration. So it's change over time. So I wanted to differentiate that. So let's take a quick look on what learners are doing about it, right? So the labor market is obviously changing. The ground is shifting beneath their feet. What are they doing about it? So more than half of learners consider themselves professional learners and are engaged in some kind of professional development this year, 2024. So most learners engage in ongoing professional development this year to stay ahead of the curve. And what's also interesting about that, because we care about outcomes here at MCM, is about half of those individuals who engaged in professional development reported positive impact this year. So they took a course online, maybe they took a professional certificate at their local community college, and they're seeing ROI basically on that investment of their time and energy this year. So there are lots of different ways to engage with learning experiences, but about half of folks are seeing those outcomes as a result of that ongoing professional development and learning. What's also interesting is if you take all those professional learners that we illustrated in green, about 4 in 5 of them consider themselves lifelong learners. And you're starting to hear this term a lot more frequently because most learners who are engaging in professional learning this year are actually never going to stop doing that, right? So they're going to keep learning every single year after that. So this is part of the reason why it's not just a flavor of the month, but this is a shift that issuing organizations, employers, and learners are going to stay ahead of basically from now on. Okay, so that was a lot of numbers. I'm a former science teacher, so I know better than to throw a bunch of numbers at you guys. Here are some key takeaways. So number 1, the learning landscape is fluid. It's changing all the time. 2, traditional education pathways really can't keep up. So the traditional 2-4-year degree as the sole proxy for professional development and competence and skill is really not going to cut it anymore. And even institutions of higher education get this. And there are some really exciting programs, both from the community college perspective and from sort of the 4-year private institutional perspective, and then in the labor market generally. So employers, internal professional development, external professional development, Salesforce, Walmart. It's never been a more rich ecosystem for traditional and non-traditional lifelong learning experiences. The third is that learners are already adapting. So, if you're looking for a job this year, like more than a third of people are based on our stats, they're already adapting. So they know that sort of professional lifelong learning is something they're going to have to incorporate, not just if they need it for recertification, like with educators, lawyers, they had to get recertified every year already, but this is becoming a trend that everyone is really adopting across the whole labor market. The fourth is that employers really need agility. So who's got the skills, where are they, and what's the best way to engage with those folks to fill the jobs so that they can compete. The fifth is economic resilience really should be the goal. So this applies both for employers, institutions, and the learners themselves. So adapting to these disruptions that occur on a continuous basis is exactly why these kinds of systems are valuable. So instead of a technology solution trying to solve a problem, you're really starting with the problem and thinking about what technology could solve that problem. Okay, so this is just a quick primer. I'm going to do a switch over to Tomás and introduce him. So for now, are you ready, Tomás? Give me a little thumbs up. Okay, cool. I'm going to bring him in. Now let me switch over to the other slide deck here. So
excellent. Well, first of all, thanks, Rob, for having us here. It's a pleasure, and we're probably on a couple of rooms away. So it was kind of exciting to find a place here to talk in the BET Summit. So a wonderful place to be.
Yeah, it's really fun. This is one of my favorite events. It's a lot of practitioners. That's why I like the Badge Summit. It's not a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people talking about skills-based ecosystems, but there's also a lot of people doing skills-based ecosystems, which is exactly why I love this event. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to present. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do this. Okie dokie. And I'm going to hide this. I think this is good for now. I'm going to remove myself.
Okay. And is it already on slideshow, Robert? Okay, excellent. Excellent. Oh, the way I said. Well, a quick introduction, just to be really quick. I'm part of a team that we have been working together for the last 20 years, and we have developed successful companies, as you have seen before. So we have sold companies for more than $100 million in the last 20 years. As you can see, I probably lowered the average age of this team, but what's most important is our core team and our technical team has been working together for quite a long time. So that gives us a lot of speed, velocity, and acceleration, as Robert was mentioning. And in this way, we can now give it everything to what we're building at Proof of Knowledge. So a couple of data points in order to add to what Robert was also mentioning. Well, as you can see, 60% of the companies are now reporting that skills gaps are their biggest barrier to transformation. And when you get this together with considering that almost half of workers' skills will be disrupted in the next 5 years, this is really, well, kind of scary in a way, because in the next 5 years, maybe half of what we're doing we need to relearn everything that we have done, or we need to learn new things. And when you kind of fusion this idea with what 93% of leaders, which are indicating that they need to move from a job-based to a skill-based approach in order to succeed. So this is paramount right now to actually understand that it is super important, that is fundamental for everyone to actually be moving towards a more skill-based approach. And one data point, which is really enticing related to everything that we're seeing right now, is that more than 500 million workers will need to be reskilled each year over the next 4 years. And that makes absolute sense, right? Because almost half of the workers of the skills will be disrupted. So in this sense, it makes crystal clear that upskilling and reskilling and being able to actually understand and get new knowledge on a skill-based approach is fundamental. But the question now is, okay, we need to do this. What is the best way to do it? What would be the best way to actually be able to demonstrate the skills? And how can you showcase all the abilities, everything that you are learning to a future employer or to any other place where you like to collaborate? So maybe we can move forward. And I would like to, maybe we all know the tale of Little Red Riding Hood, right? And everyone understands, well, the wolf in this case took its part, but let's reimagine this part of the story in which Little Red Riding Hood actually asks the wolf, hey, maybe show me a digital verifiable credential, right? And maybe the end of the story would have been completely different. But you may be wondering, this story, which has, I don't know, hundreds of years, maybe our grandmothers told themselves to our grandmothers and so on, this is happening on our modern days. And this will be happening really, really in ways that we cannot even imagine. For example, maybe we can see right now what happens in a modern day scenario. So there was a finance worker. This is something that happens this year on February 4th on 2024. So a finance worker paid $25 million after he had a call, which was a deep fake with what he thought was the chief financial officer. So in that call, there wasn't only one people there. There were 6 people, and those 6 different persons were actually all deep fakes. So right now, with this kind of technology, you don't know actually if I'm giving this conversation or there's someone else doing a deep fake. But imagine this translated to a real world scenario, right? Maybe you think you're talking with the dean of a university, or you think you're talking to someone else, and you really need to have the tools and the means to be able to verify the identity of the people to whom you're talking about. So if we see this applied into everyday cases, there was, for example, a case a couple of years ago that the CEO of Yahoo actually lied about their resume, telling that that he has studied accounting and also computer science, and the computer science was not true. And well, of course, he was forced to resign. But this comes really true with this article, which is really of a couple of months ago from Forbes, that actually indicates that 70% of the workers lie on their resumes. So imagine navigating, or imagine having to hire someone at your institution, at your company, and 70% of the information that you're reading might be probably false. So this we need to match it with a tool that actually helps you to verify and to be absolutely certain that what you're reading, that who you're talking, is actually true. So this is what we built with proof of knowledge, and we kind of harness the power of the NFT technology. You all probably heard about NFT technology because they were really famous about digital art and so on. But actually, the technology behind the NFTs is actually amazing, in a sense that it's a technology that allows you to store some information, to store an image into the blockchain. The blockchain is a public ledger. Let's say that it's a public way where you can store information and no one can actually change it once it has been once it has been made public in that database. So this is a great way to actually build absolute trust and integrity, and actually bring verifiability in a way that it's decentralized. And what I mean with this is anyone in any part of the world, in an independent way, they can go there, they can see the credential and actually verify by themselves that the information is true. So here is a quick note from Breitling saying that they have implemented digital verifiable credentials and the digital certificates in order to verify the authenticity of the watches. So imagine if you think a watch might be expensive, imagine applying this to a degree course or to a degree. So this makes absolute sense to actually have a way to actually verify that the information is actually true. So how can this be implemented? It's absolutely really easy. So everything that happens on the blockchain is on behind the scenes in order to make it accessible to anyone. So what we do here is actually, let's say that there's a university or there's someone that says, I don't know, I'm University A. Okay, you say you are University A. You should be able to demonstrate that effectively so that anyone independently can trust and verify by themselves that you are who you say you are. So what we built here is actually something really easy to be done, which is we generate a unique digital POC proof, what we call as a little piece of code that code is stored on the blockchain, okay? And it's publicly available for anyone. So what we do is, okay, University A, if you are who you say you are, you should be able to put this little piece of text in a place that anyone can go there and actually check that you are who you say you are. So please put this kind of text, for example, or do a post in LinkedIn in your actual LinkedIn profile that is from you, it's from University A, and put that digital text there so that anyone can go and verify by themselves. Or another way to do it is to register that little piece of code or that little piece of text in your DNS. That being said, is like inserting that piece of code on your website, on the behind the scenes of the website. So it's crystal clear that you're inputting that piece of text in a place that only you and actually University A will have the power to input that text there. So that is an decentralized, independent way that the university is showing that they are who they say they are. So further on, we can see a couple of examples. So here we see, for example, a festival in Latin America that they are showcasing on their LinkedIn official profile, that they can insert here their POC proof. And of course, this takes a lot of encouragement on the digital world. And maybe if we move forward, we can also see a couple of other institutions also verifying cryptographically their identity in LinkedIn, which is really easy. You just need to do a post. And as you can see, each one of them has a little piece of code which is unique for them, which is their unique identifier. So in this way, anyone can verify that they are who they say they are. Moving forward, what I've talked right now with this cryptographic identity of the issuer, we just validated one of the two pieces of information, which is fundamental when you want to validate if a certificate is true. From one side, we just verified that the issuer is who they say they are, but we also need to actually be able to understand if the recipient is who they say they are. So what we did here is, as you can see here in the GIF, is when you want to check out a digital credential, you need to be able to input the surname of the person who is the owner of that credential, okay? So as you've seen, this certificate is from a person that is called, of course, for the demo example, John Doe. And as you can see, this certificate is changing between being cryptographically sealed, and then when you enter successfully the surname of the actual owner of the certificate, then it's get disencrypted. So in this way, if anyone by any chance wants to, let's say, steal this certificate, and they saw it on the internet, and when, let's say, using a couple of design tools, they change where it says John Doe with another name and surname, when someone scans the QR code, it will send you to this website, and when they try to input the fraud kind of certificate with the surname, that won't work. So this makes our certificates absolutely fraud proof, because no one can actually be able to falsify any document, because in a decentralized way, in an independent way, anyone can validate that the issuer is who they say they are, and that the recipient is also who they say they are. And they can do it by their own means, which is super important in the decentralized way that we need to move forward. Well, there's also something fundamental related to digital certificates, is that they need to be portable, they need to be interoperable, and also that they need to have global access. So we comply with the Open Badge 3.0 standards, which actually helps by the pok.tech consortium, which actually indicates in which way you should be able to enrich the certificate with metadata. And as you do it in a structured way that can be consumed in many other places. So in this way, the student is the owner of their own information, and also they can decide where to post it, where to share them. And when they share them, they can be understandable in any given places, which is super important for the student to actually have the versatility and the flexibility to showcase their skills in any part of the world. And furthermore, we're also ELM compatible. ELM compatible is the format that is actually right now being used by the European Union. So ELM stands for the European Learning Model. So this is also absolutely compatible, not only with the Open Badge 3.0 standards, but also with the ELM standards, which makes the interoperability of the certificates, can be used in any given place. But furthermore, a platform was born multilingual. So we support any language in any part of the world. For us, it's super easy to be able to upload any new language in the platform. So as you can see right now, you can see now the English version. We also have the Spanish version, but you can also be able to see in the next slide that we have it in Bulgarian, that we also have it in Turkish, that we also have it in French. We also have it in Deutsch, in German, in many given languages. And that is also, we always have that since we were born as a company, because this is what also gives the global accessibility of a certificate. So it also needs to be interoperable, it also needs to be portable, but at the same time, it should be able to actually be translated and be used in every part of the world. So something that is also really important is giving this strong signals of quality. So it's super important in a certificate to actually be able to indicate what has been studied, like what are the skills that I have acquired, and what does that mean? It's not the same saying, hey, I studied leadership, that saying I studied leadership and this is the description of the course, this is the aptitudes that I have learned, these were the requirements of the study, are the skills that match with different places that you can see the description of those skills. And also you can even upload the study program. You can even put the transcript. So the digital certificate is a tool that can also help the student actually showcase their abilities in a way that is trustworthy, absolutely reliable, and that is described by the same authority that actually issued the certificate. So it does not depend if the student is able or not to actually indicate in the resume or is using or not the right keywords. The digital certificate itself is doing that job for them. It already indicates absolutely in a fundamental and trustworthy, but also in a strength way, that the information of the certificate is indicating exactly what they have studied. So something that is also absolutely important is these digital credentials are also, as they are digital, they can be shared easily on social media. So what is important is that institutions can also personalize, can make brandable landing pages for this credential visualization. And of course, when students share these credentials online, this actually is a great way for the institutions to leverage this marketing organic campaign done by the students, because the students then actually turn themselves into brand ambassadors. So as you can see here, we have different companies and different universities that are using this brandable landing pages in order to leverage their digital brand and into social media when students share their experiences. If you can move forward, we can also see other examples, for example, of universities and so on. And as you can see, of course, this is one of the case. Right now, 95% of the students that are using this are proof of knowledge with digital credentials are sharing their achievements online, right? So this is a incredible experience and something unique that institutions can use in a way to also increase their brand and also be able to attract, retain, and engage with students. Well, and for the sake of this call, and right now that we're on Batch Summit, for anyone that would like to scan this code, we can schedule a call and maybe we can have a deep chat on everything that we have been talking. But furthermore, for anyone scanning this QR code, they will be receiving 1,000 verifiable credentials for free. So we'd be happy to talk to anyone that might be interested.
Cool. Thank you, Tomas. So it was really great to hear all about POK, and you guys have made so much progress here in the United States over the past year. It's been a real honor to be a team member because we still have a long way to go. And absolutely. I encourage anybody, and I'm going to go back one more time because I really think it's a good idea if you guys scan this, get started. Like there's nothing like, getting under the hood, awarding a credential, setting up one of those branded pages. I think that there are some really compelling ways that you can really get started right away, both from an issuing perspective, from a learner's perspective, and then starting to share that with employers and look for how your ecosystem can create value for them. So we don't have too much time, but if I'm going to ask you one question, Tomas, and I'm setting us up for a session that we have later at the Badge Summit, is what can we here in the United States learn about some of the things that are happening internationally?
Oh, that's a great question. First of all, is that in every place in the world, the digital credentialing is needed. It's not that maybe when we're talking before, I think on a couple of months ago, you mentioned, okay, what is different, for example, in Latin America? And to be honest, Robert, there's nothing different. In every part of the place, in every part of the world, people actually need to be able to showcase in a reliable and trustworthy way whatever their skills are. So that is true in any place. So there might be different protocols, there might be different standards. As I mentioned before, in Europe, they're using the ELM, but we're working neatly with Rockcoil, with the pok.tech consortium, to also be able to align those requirements. But to be honest, there's not much difference. What needs to be done is actually for institutions to be able to issue these digital credentials and to empower the students to be able to showcase their skills at any given moment.
Yeah, and this is, like you said before, 500 million is not a small number. So this is a big challenge, not just for folks here in the United States, but abroad as well. So I'm really honored and grateful to have presented the audience today with a bit of a global perspective, but something that folks right here in the United States can start to access right away. and think about how they can use a system like this to unite sort of learning experiences with career opportunities. So thank you so much for joining us, Tomás. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If you'd like to reach out to either Tomás or myself, our contact information is on here. You can reach me at microcredential.info. You can reach Tomás and his team at pok.tech. Or if you happen to be at the Badge Summit, go ahead and stop by either one of our tables. They're right next to each other. And feel free to ask us plenty of questions. So thank you so much. And Tomás, I'm going to give you the last word.
No, thank you, Robert, for helping us out. It's really, really a pleasure to be here and to be working with you. For anyone who is not working with Robert, I really and truly recommend to actually be in touch with him. He's a great professional, but most importantly, a tremendous human being. So actually, Robert, thank you very much for everything.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining our stream and for everyone who views it after. We publish on YouTube, we publish on LinkedIn, and we brag about it all the time. So see you later, everybody.
Bye. Thank you very much.